Wells only. Wells, like, who are you? Where did you come from? How did we get you? How did you show up here?
Right, that's a funny question, right? Like, how the hell did this happen? Um, well, interestingly enough, I'm just a regular guy like everybody else. And life forces you to make decisions, whether good or bad, that kind of drive you in a certain direction. And for me, that ended up being uh, from the streets into the military, and from the military into college, and then from college. Uh, really into trying to figure out what the hell I was doing with my life, because even funnily enough, you would think that even though I went to the military straight after high school, that period of time would kind of help you figure out what kind of like college, right? Like what you were supposed to do, but it didn't happen to be the case because of the experiences that I had during that time period. Um, so
Hmm.
I essentially had to basically do that when I got to college. And interestingly enough, what ended up happening is that at the time I started going to school, the economy was unraveling. This was 2007. I had just got out of the military, and I had the intentions of becoming an electrical engineer
Hmm.
when I actually started going to school. But everything that was happening was real time. It was interesting, and it kind of tied in with my previous history, being in the military and being deployed and understanding geopolitics and why markets were moving. Like I could understand that without understanding anything about markets per se, but I could understand capital flows and where money was going based on what people were thinking and seeing. Like it's just something I understood because I was in the game, right? I wasn't just a spectator like everybody outside is now as a normie, right? Or a civilian as we call them.
Hmm.
So it attracted me basically. So that led me to um, capital markets in many ways, and ultimately, as I was trying to find my way through college, I actually ended up going overseas to work as a civilian in Afghanistan. And when you're
Hmm.
tied to the government working as a contractor or in the service, you end up hearing about these technologies first. So I heard about Bitcoin in 2009. And ultimately, when I touched back down stateside, because it took, we couldn't really connect with that kind of stuff in Afghanistan.
Hmm.
But when I
Imagine.
got back stateside, I figured it out and all that. But it's not as easy. It wasn't as easy to figure out then like it is now. But of
So,
course,
so 2009 is when. So when did you actually start? I mean, I guess get into Bitcoin in that way. Was it 2009 or just
2010. I found out about it in
2010?
2009, but I was in Afghanistan during that time. So when I got back in 2010 is when I
Right.
actually got into it. But the whole thing about it is at that time it was so difficult, right? I mean,
Hmm.
at that time, if you weren't mining, you really weren't getting any access to the coin at all. And it was easy as hell to mine at that point in time. I mean, it was harder to set up a wallet than it was to set up a mining rig at that point in time, in actuality, because of the processes involved with doing one versus the other. And
Right.
it was just a different point in time, right? I mean, it wasn't for everybody. I mean, it was literally the first days. So for
Hmm.
me, I just didn't have the capacity to understand everything. I dropped the ball like everybody else. I'm not a Bitcoin billionaire because I didn't know what I was doing, just like most other people at that point in time. Everybody isn't Richard Hart, right? Everybody didn't just hold their Bitcoins. Everybody did not do that. And that's a
Yeah.
realization that I had a long time ago. So through all my life experiences, learning markets, this and that, it ultimately led me to the realization I mean, funnily enough, when I found Hex, I wasn't even doing market related stuff. I was just like trying to improve personally. And I already had known Richard from early Bitcoin days, like 2017 era,
Hmm.
which is I think is when he started streaming anyway. But either way, he was public then. And I'm learning about the domain name system. Like that's what I'm YouTubing, trying to learn that kind of stuff. And I see hex.com, and I recognize Richard from before because he looks like himself, right? And I know what the guy looks like. So I'm like, oh, hex.com, what's this? Because I recognized him, and
Pre
it ended
haircut
up
or
no,
post?
this was post haircut.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Pulse haircut, exactly.
Mm.
So I luckily recognized him because he doesn't look the same, right? At all. Yeah, at all. The chair
It's
helped.
funny.
Yeah, the chair helped and the candle labra helped. Right?
Hmm.
If it wouldn't have been for those two things, I probably wouldn't have remembered enough to click watch, right? To watch the damn stream.
Mm.
And when he explained what hex.com was, well, what hex was, I was like, oh crap. I like within 30 minutes I was buying. So that was a start. I understood the concept. Everybody's looking for yield, bro. That's not hard to figure out, right? The only other
Yeah.
thing that I had to figure out was like all the terminology and learning how to relate it to what I already knew. So that's kind of like the short answer to everything you just asked, because that's really the answer.